Rain hammered the Pizza Hut windows. It was almost closing time. A single family sat in a red booth, me, my little sister Sarah, and our mom. The restaurant was empty except for us and Dave, the tired manager. Everything felt boring. We were finishing our last pizza, a large pepperoni, extra cheese. I stared out the window, watching the rain. Then a weird, wet sound made me turn my head. A soft, squishing sound from the pizza pan. Only one slice left. It looked perfectly ordinary. Then I heard it again. Squish, slurp. The sound made the hairs on my arm stand up. I stared at the last slice. It felt like something was watching me from the pan itself. Then I saw it looked like something was watching me from the pan itself. Then I saw it. The slice moved. Just a tiny twitch, a shudder. The tip lifted up. Walked back to the wet sound. That one was just like me, like a single, unblinking red eye. It was staring right at me. Unable to look away. The last slice was alive. It was watching me. I realized that normal was over. Forever.
My mouth went dry. I tried to speak, but the words stuck. I pointed at the pan. The pizza, I stammered. Mom glanced over, annoyed. If you want the last slice, just take it. She didn't see it. But the slice twitched again. She didn't see it. But the slice twitched again. The skin stretching like a tentacle. Sarah finally looked. Her eyes went wide. It's moving, she whispered. The pizza slice began to slide, leaving a trail of red sauce and oil. The cheese bubbled, forming a grotesque melted face. It was crawling toward the edge of the pan. Dave, Mom yelled. The manager looked up, confused. Before he could react, the slice flopped onto the table with a wet slap. It began to crawl across the tablecloth, crust first, cheese bubbling, pepperoni eyes scanning. It was heading for Sarah. She screamed, scrambling backward in the booth. The slice was hunting her. We were trapped in the booth with a monster made of pizza. Dave's broom clattered to the floor as he stared, pale and speechless. The horror was only just beginning. The last slice was alive, and it was hungry.
Suddenly, a loud clatter came from the kitchen pans, then wet, slapping noises. Dave peeked inside, then stumbled back, ghost white, pointing in terror. From the kitchen they came dozens of pepperoni slices, crawling like red spiders. They swarmed out, climbing tables, chairs, even the walls leaving greasy trails. The air filled with a skittering sound, 100 pepperoni slices on the move. Our single pizza monster was forgotten. Now, we were surrounded. Mom pulled us close. Stay behind me, she whispered at me, she whispered to go. But there was nowhere to go. The pepperoni spiders were everywhere. Dave screamed and ran for the door, but the pepperoni swarmed his feet. He tripped, crashing to the floor, the creatures covering him in greasy red meat. They didn't bite, they just stuck, smothering him. From the kitchen, something else emerged, a massive ball of uncooked pizza dough. It rolled into the dining room, huge and lumpy, moving on its own. It rolled slowly toward Dave, who was still on the floor, covered in pepperoni. The dough monster was coming for him. The restaurant was a nightmare of crawling meat and living dough. We were trapped, surrounded by food gone mad. We were trapped, surrounded by food gone mad. The dough monster absorbed the pepperoni as it rolled. Dave's terrified face was the last thing we saw before he vanished into the dough. And then... it turned toward us. The giant dough monster blocked the door, absorbing stray pepperoni into its sticky skin. Dave was gone, pulled into the doughy mass. We were trapped. The windows looked thick, the parking lot empty and dark. The kitchen gurgled and hissed. Everything was coming to life. Suddenly, the salad bar exploded. Glass shattered. Ranch dressing rained down. Vegetables rolled and slithered. Tomatoes, lettuce, croutons, all alive. The salad bar became a living, chaotic mess, joining the pepperoni army. The smell was awful. Grease, vinegar, and fear. Mom pushed us into the corner of the booth, shielding us. Sarah sobbed. I squeezed her hand, my own fear a cold nut. The dough monster, now bigger, cold nut. The dough monster, now bigger, turned and rolled toward our booth. The food was in control. The world had changed. Food was the enemy. There was nowhere left to run. The dough monster loomed over us, blocking out the light. We braced for the end. The chaos of the food apocalypse closed in, and the monster kept coming. The dough monster reached our table, A giant, pulsating blob. Mom stood desperate and swung the pizza pan at it. The pan sank into the dough, then vanished as the monster absorbed it. The creature paused. Then from the kitchen, the pizza oven detached itself, crawling in on metal legs. The oven positioned itself before the dough monster conveyor belt humming. The dough monster pushed a chunk of itself, pepperoni and all, onto the belt. We watched in stunned silence as it fed itself to the oven. Minutes later, a pizza slid out, perfectly cooked, golden crust, bubbling cheese. But there was something else, human fingers poking from the cheese, a single cooked eye in the center. The pizza monster had made a new creation. It turned and looked at us, as if to say, "You're next." The restaurant was silent, except for the hum of the oven. We stared at the horror on the silent, except for the hum of the oven. We stared at the horror on the floor. The nightmare wasn't over. The final topping was us.